Hello everyone, this is Brian with NetPicks.com. Today I'd like to cover one of my personal favorite days to trade, and that is Wednesdays, and specifically the crude oil inventory release. For those that aren't familiar with this report, it is released once a week, typically on Wednesdays at 10:30, except for holidays where it will be released on Thursdays at 11 o'clock. The one thing that's pretty much guaranteed after the release of this report is the market's going to move. And the very first part of the report, the first 2 minutes, a lot of times that price action is very choppy. And so you want to be careful there. So let me kind of walk through today's trades and some of the things I do to trade the crude oil inventory release. So first of all, the first rule I have is we don't start trading until 2 minutes after the release. That's what this line is right here. You'll notice the release came out roughly right in here. And you can see the market's kind of choppy, going back and forth. We want to stay out of that. We want to let the market settle down a little bit and finally determine a direction. So I take the first setup after 10:32. You can see here we get a setup to go long off of the 1034 bar. And notice it's inside our channel. So one of the things I personally do, especially on crude oil inventory, to stay out of the chop zone, is I'm going to adjust that trade setup above the channel by at least 1 to 2 ticks. Okay, so the entry here is actually going to be right at 838. I'm sorry, right at 83.38. Okay, you can see there it does not trigger. We also get another setup here that is not going to trigger. That one's outside the channel, so that one's pretty much good as is, but not going to trigger. Market's not really giving us a clear direction here, and it turns around and heads to the downside, giving us a short setup. So second setup of the session. Again, for those that are familiar with the 7 Summits Trader, you'll see us do this all the time. We will push this entry outside the channel. So 1 to 2 ticks below the channel at this point. Puts our entry right at 82.82 roughly. And again, a no trigger on this trade. And finally, price action is going to zig back to the upside here. We again get a long setup, and this is going to be our first trade on the session. And entry on this trade is at 83.31, looking at the data window. Our target objective, 83.65. Our initial stop set at 82.83. And one of the things you'll notice on the stops with the 7 Summits Trader is it quickly reduces your risk as the trade progresses in your favor. Well, as you can see on the chart here, very easy trade. This is the kind of trade we as traders dream about, very quickly to our full target objective. That's a 34-cent profit on that trade, and roughly $340 per contract traded. Okay, so our first trade on the session is a long, and we're booking $340 per contract traded. We'll begin looking for our next trade setup, and notice this is a pretty strong move to the upside. And that has one of our indicators called the OSOB in what we call an overbought mode. And so that means we'll begin looking for a reversal trade. And reversal trades in the 7 Summits Trader actually kick into gear a little bit faster because the market has extended past, really what it should, and we know there's a snapback coming. So we get a trade set up here off of, let me click on that. Trade setup comes off the 1057 bar, and our entry is to go short at 83.52. Target objective on this trade, 83.26. Our initial stop at 83.84. The other thing I want to point out, notice that setup came below the channel, so it's good to go there. No additional adjustment needed. And so you can see also that this trade setup is a little bit smaller than the first initial long trade setup. And one of the components of the 7 Summits Trader is that it's dynamic. When the market gets small, the trade setups for the 7 Summits Trader get small. So anyways, this trade is going to go for 26 cents. I think you can see here fairly easily it's going to hit that target objective. We did take a little bit of heat after we got in, had this bar that snapped back, but our stop was way up here. Notice how that stop comes down as the trade progresses in our favor. And full target hit off of the 1106 bar. So about 36 minutes of trading. We have 2 profitable trades. That's power of quitting on the day. And so the first trade was 340. Second trade was $260 per contract, and that gives us on the session a profit of $600 per contract traded. Not too bad for 36 minutes of work. And as I said in the beginning, every week you have this event where the crude oil inventory is released, and we know we're going to get some kind of price action typically out of that release. And again, avoid that chop zone in the very beginning and use some kind of a method. If you want to find out more about the 7 Summits Trader, you can go to netpicks.com and research that. But use some kind of method, some kind of plan, go with a plan into this event, and I think you'll come out a profitable trader. So again, thanks for your time today. This is Brian with netpicks.com. Thanks and good trading to you.